Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and in another edition of Reporting the Death Battle News, we've got something very, very interesting. Now, I don't know exactly when this video is going to come out. I don't know how much of this is going to be considered big news to the people watching, but at least at this point in time, we just got access to the Bill Cipher versus Discord track art, I believe because the track on YouTube at this point in time is available in some countries or something like that, and featured in the track art, we can actually see the cipher wheel, like the cryptic symbols that we saw at the beginning of this season. And what really caught my attention is that we can see Discord flying around the wheel, but he's only visible with 9 of the symbols. And wouldn't you know it, Bill Cipher versus Discord is the 9th episode of season 10. Now, you can call me some kind of tinfoiler if you want, but I think this means that the symbols that we see Discord next to correspond to the episodes that we've already seen, like the first 9 episodes. Especially since you can easily match each of the already released episodes to each of the symbols. All of the symbols correspond to at least one aspect of the episodes they represent, whether that be the track art or the episode presentation or the general essence of the match itself. If you really want me to go one by one and say which episode I think corresponds to each symbol, then I would say Ant-Man vs. Atom is the Atom, Dragonborn vs. Chosen Undead is the Clashing Swords, Killua vs. Misaka is the $, Stitch vs. Rocket is the Waves, Darth Vader versus Obito is the plant, Phoenix versus Raven is the yin-yang symbol, Guts versus Dimitri is the half moon, Martian Manhunter versus Silver Surfer is the star, and then you even have the question mark, which has part of Discord's head in it. So this could all be a bunch of nonsense. It could all be disproven within a matter of weeks for all I know. But at this point in time, I do believe that this is meant to serve as a checkpoint. I think that this is Death Battle confirming which episodes have already been done based on the cipher wheel, and now we have a smaller number of symbols to work with. So now the question is, what are the other symbols gonna be? I already made a video talking about all of the symbols earlier this year, before the season even started, which you can check out if you want, but naturally there are parts of that video that are outdated or disproven, so I figured I'd give an update in this video on that subject. We gotta talk about which one is Alex versus Cole gonna be, because we know it's happening later this year. And out of the symbols that are left, I'd probably go with the Beaker and the spiky ball, which is really disappointing to me because I wanted it to be Bowser versus Eggman, but out of the ones that are left, it really does seem like it would be the best fit. You have the Beaker, which is kind of like the whole science stuff, and then you have the spiky ball, which I think could represent Alex's claws or Cole's lightning, or maybe even both at the same time. If I really had to pick another symbol that it could be, I might say this one, maybe, but considering that it more so means shuffle, I would probably say Ash versus Yugi for that one, especially since we know that the symbols do not have to correspond to each character equally now based on what we've seen before. So maybe not, but that's my front runner for right now, my new front runner. And for the rest of the symbols, there's definitely going to be some overlap from what I said in the other video, some of which I'm actually even more confident in now. For example, I still think the man in the suit could represent Kira versus Adachi, especially since we now know the star does not represent a JoJo's fight. It doesn't guarantee anything, but I'm still confident that it might be this one. I'm still thinking it's not going to be Spy versus Agent 47, because again, I don't understand why they would put it on last year's Champions poll if they were already going to be doing it in this season, but they can do whatever they want, so we'll see. I still think the recycling symbol could be something like a Captain Planet matchup, like Captain Planet versus Aang the Avatar, or something along those lines. I know a lot of people, including myself, were thinking that it could be something like a rematch or using combatants that have already been used on the show, something like that. And it very well could still be that, but now after time has passed, considering that these symbols like to work their way into the episodes in some way, like the animation or the track art or just the advertising or something like that, I think it would be a lot more difficult to do that if the recycling symbol was just a rematch or something like that. You know what I mean? They could find a way to make that work, but I'm not seeing that as being as likely anymore, but we'll see. I'm still not really too sure what to say about the scales. It could be something with Phoenix Wright or Saul Goodman or both maybe. Maybe Sans versus the Judge, I could see that happening. Also Punisher versus Judge Dredd, that's not something I said in the last video, but I do think it could be something that could happen for the scales. And for the pentagram, I really don't think it's going to be Dormammu versus Trigon anymore because we just got Raven earlier in the season, but some of the other ideas I threw out, like Hellboy versus versus Nero or Ghost Rider versus Spawn, I still think are on the table. It could also just represent the Halloween episode, whatever that may be. However, the last symbol that we have is making me doubt that a little bit. I was very much thinking in the last video that this skull and bones had to represent some pirate matchup, and it still very well could. It could represent Spinal versus Cervantes, or some One Piece matchup like King K. Rool versus Blackbeard. You know, I know a lot of other people were thinking pirates for this one as well, and it could still mean that. However, after further investigation and thinking about it a little more, I found that this symbol does bear some resemblance to the chemical toxicity skull and bones, and I was thinking before that Mysterio versus Scarecrow would work really well as Season 10's Halloween episode, regardless of what's on the Cipher wheel. And, you know, I know a lot of people don't really want to see more Marvel versus DC fights this year, but if you think that the whole second half is definitely not going to have any of them, well, I don't know what to tell you, because without fail, for every season since the show started, they have had Marvel vs. DC every half season at least once. Not saying they'll definitely do it this time, but honestly, given all of the information, I'm thinking that Mysterio versus Scarecrow could be what this symbol represents. It could still represent pirates, don't get me wrong. I feel like it could go either way, though. And you gotta admit that these characters are still very different from any of the Marvel or DC characters they've used this season, so I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world, and I'd still really want to see this episode, but yeah, just wanted to throw it out there. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts and my general reactions to all of this happening. I do think it's really cool if this is a checkpoint, that Death Battle gave us some kind of checkpoint. I actually really appreciate it a lot, and it allowed me to make this video. Again, some or all or none of this may hold up in any way, you know, we'll see what happens, but I thought this would be fun to make anyway. I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Do you think this represents some kind of checkpoint for all of us, or do you think I'm reading into nothing? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, comment your comments, subscribe if you could too, that would be amazing. But no matter what you guys do, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for me. I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace out.